Hello, welcome back to the Villa View for a match preview for Villa's game at Loftus Road against QPR on Saturday. As ever, this match preview is proudly backed by One Football. Do go and check out the app if you can, because it's a very, very worthwhile thing to do, and the app is actually very, very good.
Thanks once again to One Football for sponsoring our match preview videos. As always, you too can download the app by clicking the link in the top line of the description box below. So let's start by looking at how we compare to QPR in the league table. We sit in 6th, just 1 point inside the playoffs. Meanwhile, QPR are down in 15th with 21 points, 5 less than ourselves. We'll also take a quick look at QPR's last 5 fixtures whilst we're here. As you can see, besides their last defeat to Forest, the 4 games prior were all tight scorelines. In those 4 games though, they picked up 2 very impressive wins against Wolves and Sheffield United. So I'm expecting Villa to be in for a tough time at Loftus Road tomorrow.
You'll see that for this match preview, I'm actually joined by Tom Julian. We've just completed the podcast, and as we're both going to the game this weekend at Loftus Road, we thought it would be apt that we sat and discussed it together. For anyone who's ever watched the podcast, Tom's actually come with some notes, which is very rare for a match preview show.
Oh, right.
So Tom, hit me with some notes.
Well, I've got a few stats for you if you'd like them. We talked earlier on the podcast on TalkSport today. Jedinak was on with Jim White, and he said that he was getting himself ready for Saturday, that he'd been told to get ready for Saturday. So it was my understanding that Jedinak would be our John Terry deputy. You were thinking before we arrived at the podcast studio that Samba would be the man.
I just think because he came on last game and he is, by right, our designated third centre-half, I just think he'll play him. It's against his old team, so he should be up for it. Although I think he'll get... I mean, we talk about John Terry would have got some stick if he'd have been playing at QPR. I think Samba will get some stick as well, because I think he took them for a lot of money whilst he was there. I think Jedinak will play, but I think he'll end up being in midfield. I think we'll make a few changes from the Sheffield Wednesday game. Obviously, it depends how people are coming back from the international break, but if Jedinak's there, that's good news, because in Terry's absence we need a leader, and although Chester will get the armband, Jedinak's the next natural leader that we actually have.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough game, isn't it? Loftus Road is not an easy place to go. They've only lost once this year at home. That was against Fulham. 2 draws and 5 wins. So they're a strong outfit at home. They've obviously got gubbed 4-0 by Nottingham Forest last game before the international break. So the international break came at good time for both Villa and QPR,
yeah,
it would seem.
Well, the good thing is we're more adept away from home now than we have been in previous seasons. Perhaps we're set up a bit better to be away from home than we once were, with people like Adoma on the flanks, on the counter-attack. He's been in pretty good form, although he didn't have his best game against Sheffield Wednesday, but then again, no one did.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been to Loftus Road a few times and seen us lose, and I've seen us win there last season. I'd certainly settle for a repeat of last season's 1-0 victory when Kodja drove us to victory after missing a penalty. It'd be interesting to see whether he's back, because at this point in film we've not really heard anything. I'd like to see him back, because I'd play him if he was back, but unfortunately I think he'll probably only be fit enough for the bench, if he's fit at all. Yeah,
I mean, we beat QPR twice last year, both 1-0 actually, at home and away, so that was good. It's going to be a tough game. They've got some good players. Idrissa Silla, who's playing up front for them, he scored 3 and 5, so he'll be a threat. I kind of feel like Jedinak might have the beating of him a little bit better than Samba might in that matchup. And I was looking at a little bit at Alex Smithies, who plays in goal for QPR as well. He's very highly rated, similar to Johnston, I would guess, in that fashion. So he'll be... I mean, we're going to have our shooting boots on to get the better of QPR, I think.
Well, Smithies had a good game last season, but then he made a mistake for the Kodja goal. He should have saved it when it went underneath him after he'd saved a penalty from Kodja in that game. Player I'm a bit worried about if he starts is Connor Washington. He's a player I always think looks lively. Reminds me a bit of Craig Bellamy, who I always liked as a centre forward, a bit like Vardy. He never gives you a minute or a second on the ball. He's always closing you down, and he played well for Northern Ireland in the week. And it's, again, Villa are the kind of opponents that some teams and some players really raise their game against, and I think this will be one of those games where QPR are going to be bang up for it, because they've spoiled the party at Loftus Road a few times. They beat Wolves when they were on very good form, and they beat Sheffield United when they were on very good form as well. So obviously we're coming a bit off the back of the unknown, having lost at home for the first time this season. So it'll be interesting to see how we react. But we need to show some fight and we need to show some character, because this will be a really hard game, and that's why I think Jednak being back is very important.
Where would you see QPR finishing this season, or where would you see their expectations, their aspirations for this year? Do you think they want to be in the playoffs or around the playoffs, or do you think not this year?
I know a few QPR fans and they have not got high expectations at the moment. In some ways, I think they enjoy what they're doing now more than when they're in the Premier League, splashing silly money around, because I don't think that is QPR and what QPR were about previously. I think they like that they've kind of gone back to their roots now. They've got a manager in who used to play for the club, who knows the club, who's managed them before, in Holloway. And I think, they very nearly went down last season. They weren't far off relegation trouble, but he's steadied it a little bit this year, and they haven't got anywhere near the budget that most teams in the Championship have got anymore. They're having to, for a Steve Bruce phrase, having to box a bit cleverer with the signings that they're making. But they've got some decent players, and we'll have to be on our guard, because I think they'll be really up for it. But I wouldn't have them around the playoffs. I think where they are now is perhaps the bare minimum. Anywhere between 10th and 15th, I could see them sitting. But I don't think that their fans. I think they're a realistic bunch. I don't think they expect to be pushing among the playoffs this year. They may want to give it another few years and bring some players through themselves. So they've got the young lads, Sean Goss, who they signed from Man U for cheap money. I think they're looking to go that route now.
Yep.
Maybe sign cheaper young players from established teams.
Yeah. Have you got a team preview that you would pick for Saturday?
We would usually do the team that I think Steve Bruce will go with. So there's a team I'd pick, but it's usually nowhere near what Steve Bruce picks up. I think Bruce will go for Johnson in goal. I think Al Mohammadi will stay right back. Samba, Chester centre backs, and then I think he'll bring Neil Taylor actually back in for this game, as well as Hutton's done. The simple fact of the matter is Taylor offers more balance as a left back, but Hutton's shown that he's bounced back before, and I'm sure he'll get into the team again at some point. I think he'll have Jednak and Horahan in central midfield, and then I think right midfield he will go with Snodgrass, left midfield Adoma, and I think Onuma will start behind Keenan Davis. If Codger's fit, which I don't think he will, but I think he'll be in instead of Davis.
Yeah, I've gone for slightly different. I've gone for Johnston, Al Mohammadi, Chester, and Jedinak at centre back. Also going with the return of Neil Taylor. I just think he's a better, more natural left back, and it just makes sense after the international break to bring him back in. I've gone for Whelan and Hourahan in central midfield, with Snodgrass and Adoma on each wing, and Jack Grealish making his return, and Keenan Davis up front. I think Grealish is the number 10 that Bruce has always wanted. Again, it kind of makes sense after an international break to bring Grealish in, and we'll see whether he returns. Again, I don't think Codger's going to make it, certainly not to start. And yeah, that to me, you say you're going to pick the side that Bruce will pick. It'd be interesting to see what he goes with, because to me that's quite an exciting attacking side, which a lot of Villa fans want.
I mean, Grealish will come back in at some point. I just personally don't think it'll be this week. He offered quite a lot in his brief cameo against Sheffield Wednesday. He made the pass to Callum O'Hare, which ended up setting the goal up for Samba. I just think he's the smartest player that we have with the ball at his feet. I mean, it was interesting to hear Tim Sherwood talking about him the other night. I don't know whether you saw that, saying he's got far off the England setup at the moment, but it's not impossible for him to get there this season, just by virtue of the kind of players that Southgate's picking. I mean, I don't think he will get there. I think he'll need to be playing for a Premier League team, but hopefully next season he will be playing for one that is Aston Villa, and I'd love to see him have an impact this season. I think there's a very, very good footballer there. He's just been a victim of perhaps playing in poor Villa sides, but now I think we've got a bit of a better setup than we've had since Grealish has come through, so I think that bodes well for him, and the better players he's got around him, as he's shown previously, the better he'll be. So I'm excited to have him back, at least in the 18.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how his game will have changed, whilst he's had this kind of 3 or 4 months off. Looking and watching other players, watching similar players from past generations, and how maybe he's taken this time to maybe mature his game, not necessarily on the training pitch, but the way he thinks, the way he looks, and the way he passes a ball. This was it's a terrible injury, but it's a fantastic opportunity for him to take some time and really think about the type of player he is and the player he wants to be, and to grow mentally in his game as well.
I mean, his attitude gets questioned a lot, and he gets a lot of stick from Villa fans, and as I've said before, I don't understand it. I see a kid that loves Villa, that wants to do well, that, as I say, has been a bit of a victim of circumstance, with it being a really bad time to come through at Villa. But he's not a bad kid. He's made some mistakes off the pitch, and he's paid his dues.
That's not what
his
I'm
dues
saying.
for them. No, I know. He's paid his dues for those mistakes. I'm excited to have him back. He's better than the Championship. He needs that run of games. He needs a manager to trust him, like Tim Sherwood did. Tim Sherwood didn't end up doing many things right in the end, but one of the things he did right, he nurtured Grealish and trusted him and gave him that freedom, and that's what he needs. He needs to be playing in the number 10 role. So if he does start, I'll be really interested to see how he does. I just think maybe having Keenan Davis as a lone striker doesn't suit Grealish. He'd be better with someone like Hogan or Codger, who's got a bit more pace in behind. His game is a bit more about getting in behind than hold-up play. Someone to play the through balls too. But he's got a Doma on the flank who thrives on through balls. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see what team he picks, whether it's closer to mine or whether it's closer to yours.
We shall see. You got a score prediction for us?
I'm going to go with 1-1. Tentative. It's difficult to know what to expect after the international break and what team we're going to put out and stuff. And how we cope without John Terry. I just hope I don't see the defence all over the place without him. That is a worry that I have, because that initial 10 minutes when Samba first came on, not his fault, but we did look all over the place. Yeah,
I guess now we've had that 2 weeks where we can... Bruce probably would have known what he was going to do, so he set it up and he knows what he's doing. There is a lot of experience in that defence, so we shall see. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Villa win. Ever the optimist.
First goal?
First goal scorer is Snodgrass.
I'm going to go with Connor Washington to score the first goal of the game for QPR, and then big Chris Samba pops up against his old team and scores like he did last week when he was played up front. Last time when he was played up front, yeah. Samba's that prolific striker / centre back that we've been waiting for.
Right.
I think that's it for the preview, isn't it?
That's it from me.
So, yeah, thanks ever so much for tuning into this match preview. A bit niche, a bit different to how we usually do the match preview, but hopefully you've enjoyed us and enjoyed it. Do let us know in the comments what you thought and let us know your predictions. Remember to go and join our Fan Score League if you haven't already. The details will be on the screen now. I'm not sure how well I'm doing, and Tom's probably not even in the league.
No, I'm not.
Suffice to say, neither me or Dan Rolinson are doing very well at all. I don't think I've got a prediction right score-wise all season, so probably don't pay any attention to what I've said.
Can I still join?
Yeah, but you'll be miles behind, obviously. And you're ruining my outro here.
Oh, sorry.
We've just hit 9,000 subscribers, so if you're not already subscribing to the channel, please do so with your post notifications on. Give the video a like if you have enjoyed it, as I said, and as ever, up the Villa.
Up the Villa.
If you enjoyed that video, why not watch another? Click the video choices on screen now to go and watch them in full. Be sure to subscribe to the channel by clicking our logo there on the left. Easy peasy.